My name's Ian Utile, and Bradley and I are launching Voice First TV in the broadcast studio. And what I wanted to do, instead of having a formal talk for the whole lunch keynote, Noelle from Microsoft could not make it last minute. And so we talked about, since she can't make it, what's the best thing that we can do at this time? And so instead of just having somebody else from Microsoft come and do a full hour keynote, I thought, well, why don't I just do question and answer with the audience? So instead of, like just a monologue, let's have a dialogue with one another. So I have brought a Frisbee, and I'm going to throw a Frisbee, and if it comes at you or near you, I would like to have a conversation with you. I have two microphone runners. We'll do this for about 20 minutes. I just want to kind of get to know people. If I don't have an answer to your question, then maybe somebody else will stand up and give an answer. We are being live streamed right now, so this is also a chance for you to have exposure to the Voice First TV audience. Obviously, most of our audience is outside, sitting outside eating lunch, and you don't have to interact with me, but it is an invitation to do so. This hopefully will be a little bit more fun than just a long-form keynote. I will have my friend Eric Egland come up. He does global innovation at Microsoft, working on a lot of their chatbot. Some of the most exciting things that are happening at Microsoft are happening under Eric and his team. And so he'll come talk just for about 10 minutes about some of the stuff that he's doing. So does that sound good? Okay. And this can be pretty mellow. Keep eating. You don't have to necessarily pay attention, but I think it can be a fun time to have a dialogue.
What's going on, Ian?
So tell everybody who you are.
I'm Stuart Crane with Voice Metrics Survey Line.
Okay, and let's have a dialogue. Ask me a question.
All right, so where do you see voice going in the next 4 years? In 4 years
where do I see voice going in the next 4 years? Yeah. I think 4 years from now will be less device-centric. It'll be very unlikely that we're using speakers and phones as much as voice is just embedded into everything. I think voice will soon be known as the very last interface, and that people are going to feel very comfortable with not trying to put chips in their head or some new way of interacting with technology. They'll be like, this is good, let's make this better and better. And I think the most important thing to me is that in 4 years, I think we're going to empower the 2 billion least advantaged people in the world. So the 2 billion people that can't read or write or speak a common language will, for the first time, be able to actually be productive members of society and not just make $1 a day, but have unlimited ability to produce something for society and be compensated for it.
You might have covered that. I was doing my TV segment while you're...
Speak a little bit louder.
What devices will they use to talk to their voice computers?
Interesting.
These disadvantaged people.
That's a great question. I would imagine that somebody like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever actually puts the satellites in the air and creates connectivity for the world, will find some way of providing some interactivity with people in these different societies, and that would be how it happens. I don't know if it's going to happen in 4 years, though. But what other devices? I just think that IoT, I think clothes are going to be shipped with microphones in them. I think that, hats are going to be shipped with microphones in them. I think glasses are going to have microphones in them. So that'll probably be the very first transition device-wise.
Yeah, I agree. And then you see the earbuds basically or AirPods can do Hey Siri. Alexa is going to come out with ear pods. Or Alexa pods. Or
That's right.
Pods. All right. Maybe we can catch up in San Francisco one of these days.
All these, everyone's going to be having these, and do you even see them being embedded in there at some point? People having them in there all the time.
Well, I think that certain people would love to have tech embedded. Like, I could see myself as a beta tester with embedded technology, but I do not think society at large is going to put technology inside their body.
Right. So it's going to have to be these devices that they take off and off, whether it's the glasses, AirPods,
That's
and so
right.
forth.
So why don't you tell everybody about Survey Line and what you're doing?
Yeah, so Survey Line allows you to create a voice survey just online. So if you're familiar with SurveyMonkey, it's basically a SurveyMonkey, but for voice. So go online, create a survey, send it out, but instead of taking it on the web or on your mobile phone, you take it by voice with Alexa, Google Assistant, or your voice assistant. So that's voice enabling surveys.
Great. You can hand the microphone back to Holly. I'm going to take the next person. Does anybody want to play catch with me? Raise your hand. I'll try to throw it to you. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick somebody at random. All right. Here it comes. Somebody pick it up. Jake, bring him a microphone. So introduce yourself. Well, maybe we'll use Holly's mic. I can't get enough.
There we go. Hello? Hello?
Not yet.
Hello?
We'll use Holly's mic. She'll come.
Hello.
There we go. Introduce yourself and where you're from.
Brandon Kaplan from New York City with Skilled Creative.
Great. And we had a great conversation and the Voice First TV studio, so thank you for joining me for that. I learned a lot about what you're doing. Why don't you tell people here who you are and what Skilled Creative does?
So we're a creative agency. We talked a little bit about us previously in our talk, but we work with brands and organizations to help them figure out how to use emerging technologies in their marketing and business. Been really heavily focused on voice for the last couple of years. And we've been helping brands like Pepsi, Wall Street Journal, Pfizer, FanDuel, TED Conference, really cool brands in the consumer space, in the media and entertainment space, to figure out where they can carve out a niche for themselves in the voice space.
You have a question you want to ask me?
Gosh,
if I can't
man.
answer it, I'll ask somebody else to answer it.
Gosh, we had, there's there's a pretty big divide between people that are servicing the industry. There's a lot of people doing that. And then the other side is people that are trying to build like voice first businesses, right? So I'm building experiences for brands. That's great. I love it. It's fun. But there's a lot of companies, Yes Sire and Earplay, people that are becoming voice products. Like they are a voice gaming company.
Right.
Where do you think the greatest value is in the long term? Do you see that other side, like a voice first business gaining traction in the short term? Like voice first companies, I make voice games, I make voice stories. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think that much like app companies, Instagram is an app company. It was an iOS app only company. Inside of the Apple ecosystem became now a $100 billion valued company. I think we're going to have voice companies that are games or productivity machines that allow people to do voice way faster that would become massive. Let me give you an example of a company that I think would explode. It would be a voice-only company. You'd say Innovation Hub. Let's call it Innovation Hub. I have a new idea. And with this app, you just say, check domains.com for new idea. Okay, newidea.co is available. Great. Get that, but also check Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat to see if that's available as well. Now all of a sudden it says yes. Innovation Hub says yes, and then it gets you all the social sites and the website. The next thing is you say, okay, pull up a website with Squarespace or with Wix or whatever it may be. It pulls up on your TV. It happens immediately. You don't wait because it's a machine that does it all for you. You look at it and you tell it what to change. Now your website's done. Took you 10 minutes. No web developer, no designer, no content writer. It's just you and your voice talking to the Innovation Hub voice app. And then you say, okay, go on Eventbrite and invite every single person with 50 miles of me that I've texted in the last 3 months to my launch party of my new idea. If somebody creates that app, that's a voice-only app that is only voice-based with an augmented thing that's either augmented reality on your glasses or on a TV screen, that would be huge. People, every innovator would use that over spending $10,000 or $100,000 hiring an agency or a freelancer to do the same exact thing where you're not actually in control. So an idea like that, I think is a no-brainer.
I'm in.
I think another one, well, okay, what idea do you think would be like just used by an overwhelming number of people that would be a voice-only app?
It's a really big, we think more in terms of like specific use case value. We haven't been ideating around what's the big killer, what's the Instagram of voice? We think certainly around like just, possibly something around like a shopping, grocery type aggregation tool. We know that one of the biggest things people are using the devices for is building shopping lists. Add that to my shopping list, add that to my shopping list. And we know that a lot of the grocers are building their own disparate experiences.
Yeah.
So I think certainly there's an opportunity for someone to, and then you've got all the media companies building their own recipe skills.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity from like a commerce perspective. Both platforms are really focused on commerce. Some type of a integrated aggregator of a sense. Feed me out to the right retailer partner, fill my cart, check me out, whether it's on Amazon.com or Walmart.com or Kroger. Someone really truly figures that cross-channel commerce piece out, and that's a big win.
Yeah.
It's pretty disparate right now.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you another one that really needs to exist that could be a voice-only app is for the elderly. There's 10,000 people every single day in America that turn 65. Right now, if you have an elderly person that you're caring for and they have Alzheimer's or they have dementia, it's a very, very difficult experience for those that care for them. It's also difficult, of course, for the person that can't remember who they are or why they just woke up in this bed. So imagine an app. We'll just call it Elder Compassion, okay? I think this Elder Compassion idea becomes a unbelievably huge app. And all it is you call on Elder Compassion and you instill that in the room of your elderly person with dementia or Alzheimer's. When they wake up, there's a sensor that goes off and it says hello to them in their dead spouse's voice, or in their father or mother's voice, or in their child's voice, something that they will remember. Good morning, Becky. You're inside your daughter's house. She's going to come in 5 minutes with water and pineapple. What you see on the TV screen is you see your family that you live with. Would you like to listen to, Tony Bennett or Frank Sinatra? Now, all of a sudden, what happened to this elderly person is they just went from waking up crying, and oftentimes it comes out either crying or rage. They don't know who they are, where they're at. And now they're like at peace. They're hearing their spouse's voice, even if they're gone, or they're hearing their child or parent's voice. They see their family. Now they know what's going to happen. They know that something's coming in for them. Now they listen to the music they want, and now all of a sudden, it's a totally different life experience. The company that builds that technology that's HIPAA compliant, the company that builds that type of thing for the elderly, that is a unbelievably huge app opportunity on voice. Even just shopping, because the fact is no elderly person wants to ask their child to order adult diapers for them.
Sure.
Or even other things that aren't as embarrassing. They don't want to have to ask. And what they do right now is they grab catalogs and they call toll-free numbers. So as soon as we can figure out how to get elderly people to communicate with tech back and forth, it's going to be a very, very big deal.
I like it, man. Big ideas.
Yep. So I'll take, you can hand that off. I'll take another question. Anybody want to play catch with me? Maybe somebody closer, because I haven't been able to throw it very accurate far away. There we go. All right, Holly will bring you a microphone. Thank you, Holly, so much.
Thank you.
All right, you can keep it real close to your mouth.
Yep.
So please introduce yourself and what you do.
All right, so I'm Adam Imfield. I work at Nuance Communications. I lead the user experience program for Nuance Automotive.
Okay, so you're at Nuance, you're the user experience there, and you just spoke. We got to do an interview in the Voice First TV broadcast lounge, which was fun. So you have a question for me?
Yeah, so we didn't get in touch on this earlier, and we haven't
bring it like,
talked a lot around autonomous driving here, but there's one thing that I put a lot of thought in. I'm curious on your take. What is probably one of the most overlooked challenges that we need to solve with voice and autonomous vehicles that isn't getting sufficient attention now?
So the question is, what's a need or a problem that we need to have solved that's not being gained attention right now?
Yep.
So my answer is productivity. Okay, so what I see a lot happening right now is that people are talking about, oh, I only listen to podcasts in my car. People talk about, oh, you know, it's safer talking to my car to take me from place to place. So I think we're transitioning from an unsafe transportation device to safer transportation devices, but the need in my mind is productivity machines. When car manufacturers realize that they should make their vehicles completely soundproof so that educators can be teaching, so that students can be learning, so that vloggers can be creating videos, podcasters can be creating audio, so that people that want to consume content can hear it totally clearly, and so that people that are doing business, actual business work, it can happen seamlessly, and the car is no longer a transportation device. Now, all of a sudden, the car is a productivity machine, maybe the most important one you have in your life, because the one time you don't have to be around anybody, and you can just focus and not be on anything, but just be talking to your car that understands you than your fellow coworker, and you understand it as good as your child or your parent. So I think that's a big need. I'd love to see people develop that.
So do you mind if I counter with something? So one of the things that I'm most interested in is that level 3 state where the user is still pretty involved and safety still matters a lot more. And I would argue that one of the areas getting the least attention right now is that transfer of control. And not just that people aren't thinking about how do I hand machine to human control, human to machine control, but how do I keep them in the loop? Because you can't just do what Tesla does now and play a beep and then have them in control. They need to know where they're at, how fast they're going, how long till the next exit, things like that. And so that's one thing that I would argue is one of the most under-addressed areas so far, at least.
Yeah, it's good. I'll take the Frisbee back. Holly will come get the microphone from you. Thank you. Yeah. So, Eric, I'm giving you the warning that I'm bringing you up very soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up my friend Eric Egland. He does global innovation at Microsoft. They've done some unbelievably amazing development. When you watch the live stream, Eric and I are in the Voice First TV broadcast studio. We just reviewed what he did for Eureka, and you'll see on there that there is there's a video that shows a 2-minute demo of what they did, and then he and I talked about that very thing. And then he also showed Coptivity, so he's going to probably talk about something completely different. I ask for 10 minutes that you give Eric your attention. I promise you, he was the keynote speaker at my talk, The Future of Voice.
So
he has something very valuable to share. It will be meaningful for you. I'm going to step off the stage, hand the mic to Eric, and let him share with you for about 10 minutes, and then I'll be back.
Good. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. All right, good. I hope everybody's enjoying lunch, courtesy of Microsoft. If you don't like lunch, then don't blame me. Yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of things of what I'm seeing in enterprise and kind of ask what your thoughts are.
Turn him up a little bit.
Like Ian mentioned, I'm on a global enterprise innovation team, and we help enterprises adopt AI for the first time with a heavy focus on voice. So it tries to cut through that Gordian knot of an enterprise wants to adopt AI, especially go to voice, but it's hard to figure out, is this tech really going to work for me? Is it actually going to help solve my business problem? Is it worth the investment, or how hard is it going to be before they go through the resources and the effort to, do an RFP or just invest time and effort? So it's fun because we get to go understand what a business problem is, and then say, yeah, here's a great use case for that. And a lot of more and more enterprises are coming to us with voice, with the desire to do things in voice. So a state in the Mid-Atlantic called and said, hey, we have an IT help desk. We want people to be able to reset their passwords via voice and chat. And they get 3,000 calls a week.
It's just wing.
And 1,500 of them are password reset requests. Those are just state employees, mid-sized state employees and contractors, 1,500 calls. So think if you could automate that, what kind of return on investment that enterprise would have. So we came and helped them build the proof of concept, show them how to do it, and then they made the decision that they're going to go for it. And so it's also another factor is kind of that intersection of voice and chat, right? So we talk about voice, but almost everything we're talking about goes to chat before it comes back to voice. So you have that chatbot framework is the underlying, well, that's Microsoft's term for it, but whatever platform you're using, you've got you've got a chat framework, and then you're going speech to text and text to speech. So the convergence of that is kind of interesting
literally
too.
could not have gone
Another
any
thing
better
we
than it's gone.
talked
Like,
about
impossible
in
to be
the
better.
video
The one thing is we got a
or in
little bit of
the
a
studio
technical
for the
difficulty in
live
very
stream
beginning, so we
is
started kind of
captivity.
mid-Brett's
So
talk
this is
instead of
something where San Diego
before, but
Sheriff,
that's no big
who's
deal.
very
So, but
innovative
no, the
for
content
among
is
law
out of this
enforcement
world. Plus, I
nationwide,
have
said, what if
3
we could
4K
use
cameras
voice
in
to
there
automate
and 2
the
4K
calls
cameras
where
in
an
here.
officer
We're
pulls
capturing
somebody
all
over
the
for a
video, 2
traffic
angles here, 3 angles
stop
there,
and
all
then
the
has to
audio.
wait for a long time and
nothing from
then get a response
content.
back from dispatch, because dispatch is
Yeah.
making them wait because they have to prioritize kind of live things
Lunch
going
Keynote.
on, traffic stops,
We-
kind of
we
lower
didn't pay
priority,
to be here.
would
This
save
is Noel's
everybody's
time. If it
time,
was Noel's time,
maintain
I'd tell you to shut up.
situational awareness.
But it's
So
different,
we help
you
them
know?
use their police-specific language,
easy.
like 1039
Yeah,
a
my parents
plate,
just showed us.
right,
That's
which
fun.
means run a license plate. Same thing, 1029, 1039, these police-specific codes. We run it into the on Azure, the custom speech service, where you can take non-dictionary words and or words that are in the dictionary but have unique meaning
So,
for your
like, the
specific
most
use
expensive
case, like
thing I
these
did
police
was bring
codes.
this photo booth,
Translate those
and
into
nobody's
language
taking
understanding,
photos.
the Lewis capability. That's
So
kind of the
I got
foundation
to
of
figure out how
Microsoft's
to
voice
remedy that.
tech. A lot of people think of
So
Cortana,
I
but
almost just
Lewis is
wondered
kind
if
of
I
what's underlying that in terms of understanding language. And then turn that,
Yeah,
once
but
it
it
goes
got
through
moved,
Lewis,
you
turn it
know,
into
I
a
mean,
JSON query string,
I have
send
nothing
it,
to do
get
with
your
it. I
response
can't
back
be
from your
involved. I'm just
database.
saying,
Hey, the
that
car
was the
is
most expensive thing I
registered
did, and
owner,
there was
everything's
advantage,
fine.
so it kinda
Go approach the
sucks.
vehicle and save
So-
waiting there for a long time.
What is a
So
way I
that's
can get
scaling
more
all
of
over the
people
world.
to
Nottingham
use it?
police in the
How
UK,
can I
New
motivate
Zealand
people to do
police, all over the country. It's really fun to kind of, and it all started with a whiteboard session at a little workshop down in San Diego, where I listened to their use case and said, wow, that's incredible.
I can.
One thing
You
I'm
brought
hearing,
this?
though, I was just at a
Okay,
conference, I
perfect.
was at an airports conference last week, and speaking to CIOs of airports nationally, and a lot of them said we want to go to voice, because we serve up information to the public, right, to the flying public or the people dropping them off or picking them up, and we serve up the information that people say they want, but people don't actually go to the website to find it. And the example was wait times at security. So, and they said, you know, we serve up this data, we invest in it, we provide the wait times at security, but we see the traffic, nobody ever uses the website. And I thought about that, and I thought,
Dude,
yeah,
I don't know.
I travel all the
It's
time.
urgent.
I've never
That should
looked
not say
at an
215
airport
mobile.
website
You gotta
to
get
see
rid
the
of that.
current security wait time. Maybe I
need
should.
somebody
But then I also
on-
thought it through and
somebody
thought,
that's connected.
well, if I'm running
215 mobile
late,
can't
the
be-
last thing I'm going to do is fumble around with my
So,
phone trying
yeah,
to find
I
the
just
right website and
asked
get that
Lisa
information.
if we could take
So,
250
but I
mobile
would
and
do
put-
it on a
put the
voice
bridge.
assistant.
I need that up there.
So,
not that.
so that is like a great
Never
use
mind.
case. I think
I'm
that's
trying to think
minimal
who's plugged in.
integration because they're already serving up that
Basically,
data. So it's an
it's
API
back in
call
control. Just tell
or
them,
even
can we-
scraping the
can we-
web
Yeah. Anything
web
but
data.
that.
But
That's
here's
fine.
their challenge: is they're saying, hey, we want to go to voice, but we're swamped with channels. So we had web channels, chat channels, or now where they're dealing with chat, they had social channels. They're trying to build mobile apps. And now it's like voice, you know, I got to build voice apps. You know, somebody shoot me is basically the response. And so then it's like, oh, and you know, just like with mobile, you had the cross-platform challenge of iOS, Android, Windows for a while. But even that is like multiple code bases, multiple projects. That's challenging. And so so that seems to be a conundrum about how do I serve up those platforms. I don't necessarily want to pick one because you know some people are on Alexa, some people are on Google. There's Siri's definitely going to come in hard into this space. You know, Cortana's there and Bixby. Who knows? So so does anybody have? I'm curious if anybody's heard of things that can facilitate that, right? So they don't have the resources, or they want to go to voice. They want to get the data they're already serving up on the web to customers where customers are, but they don't really want to hire a digital agency. They don't want to put out an RFP for a digital agency to build voice apps for all those skills and actions. But they don't have the in-house dev resources to do it. So it's kind of an app dev question. Does anybody have, I mean, I'm genuinely interested if anybody knows of a better way to do that. Has anybody heard of anything cool going on? I don't have any answers, but no? So pretty much the state of the art is build your voice app for, oh, did someone have a comment?
Yeah, right there, RJ.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Okay. Jovo. Yeah. Yes, you can use Jovo as to kind of short circuit the process to build for for both Alexa and Google. Right on. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm seeing out there. Another case is using voice, starting with the chatbot, like in state of California, the Secretary of State. So all of us are in here. We're in an entrepreneurial center. You have to register with the Secretary of State, right, if you start a business. So they were getting a massive influx, actually, due to marijuana legislation passing. So if you picture just all of us in here have probably filed a form or been on a team where forms were filed with the Secretary of State. Well, imagine when the world found out that California legalized marijuana. They got inundated. Businesses all over the world contacting them, how do I start a cannabis-related business? Plus, there's a lot of unique things about a cannabis business that don't necessarily apply to like the rest of businesses. So people were asking that, their staff's getting swamped. And so they said, wow, we need to build a bot. We need to build the first bot in the state of California government. So it was fun. I got to have a whiteboard session, architect it with them, and then build a prototype and with my team and then get them going. And it's in production now. If you go to the Secretary of State homepage, BizFile is what they call it, you see Eureka chatbot. Now the next phase is taking it to voice. So that's an exciting way for an enterprise to get a big ROI because they're able to bring efficiency to all those manual one-off calls and emails for routine queries with routine responses, plus using that really good language processing that's part of Azure. There's lots of good language processing capabilities out there, but that's the one I work with the most. And so that's really exciting. So people, people in California can get information really quickly, and it goes easy on the state staff because they didn't get a budget plus up or anything to deal with that global influx of routine data queries. So that's an exciting thing to see a chatbot as the first step, and now taking it to voice. And within a few months, you'll probably be able to be in your car and ask Alexa, Google, Cortana, hey, how do I register my business with the state? So I'm curious, does anyone else have any interesting use cases or things that are going on in voice that you want to share? I'd love to hear. Okay. All right, don't all jump up at once. Okay, well, good. So I think that's all I wanted to share, and I appreciate your time and attention, and I'm going to go eat my lunch as well. So hope you enjoyed the lunch, and glad Microsoft can be a part of this. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, appreciate it, man.
Yep.
All right.
Again, I encourage you to tune in to voicefirst.tv. Eric and he went really deep on what they've done in Eureka about an hour ago, and then he'll go deep on what they've done with Coptivity in about 1 hour. I've done about a dozen interviews in Voice First TV in that broadcast studio for NASDAQ. I'll do another dozen. Today's the launch of voicefirst.tv. And so this is a really exciting time for Bradley and myself and the speakers and sponsors, everybody involved, because we finally have a singular platform that people can go get video content about this environment, right? And we all know about VoiceFirst.fm, This Week in Voice, kind of the premier podcast that Bradley runs. He mentioned that Mark Cuban is going to be the guest speaker for the last one of the season. And there's many amazing podcasts that are part of that network. So one thing I want to mention to you is I brought a toy car with me, right? Because well, that one fell, because physical things can make a point. So this is called Enduro. I'm part of this company, so it makes me my kids' hero. I have two boys, 6 and 10 years old. So I became part of the Thoughtful Toy Company. We sold 1 million Madaris in the recent years. Now we have the Enduro truck and car. So this right here I thought was a great representation of today, right? You have this really heavy-duty truck. This thing should last 100 years. My kids should be able to give it to their kids, and my great-great-grandkids should be playing with this truck still as it is when I'm gone. And this right here is kind of like the automotive industry, right? And then this is the sexy new voice technology industry. And what we're talking about today is how these can work together. How this automotive industry can take this voice technology and make it even better than it was without it. So I want to give one of these away. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give some away to the people online. By the way, those watching the live stream, I am loving you right now, and I got a list of reasons why, but I'm on stage. I don't have time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give these away to people that post comments or share. Okay? So if you post a comment or you share, we're just randomly pick some people, ask for your address, and we're going to send a couple of these out. But I'm also going to give some to the crowd here. What I'd like you to do is we have a photo booth in the back. So during now, lunch, or the next break, this photo booth is going, if somebody on my team, Ted, if you could bring me that picture, the photo booth prints out 3 photos. It has the logo for Voice of the Car on the top and Voice First TV on the bottom. It's just a fun way to remember the day. In addition, if you want, it will also text you the photo, and it can also post it on social media for you. The reason why we went through the expense of bringing in photobooth.com to come have a photo booth is because oftentimes we have these experiences, we leave, it's very business-centric. How many business cards did I get? How much biz dev did I get rolling? How many formal and informal partnerships might I be able to have? Can I get a deal closed next week? But how about just laughing? How about putting on some glasses or a goofy hat and just having a moment of delight together? Like, that is your invitation for free delight. It costs you nothing. You can take as many photos with as many people as you want. I am going to find out who took photos. I'll find out who took photos and who put their cell phone in there. I'm going to pick 2 people with their cell phone. I'm going to text you at the end of the day in 3 hours, and I'm going to give a couple of you this vehicle. So if you don't want the vehicle, still take the photos. This is your moment. It's like, if you're not on a diet, why not eat the cheesecake? That's your cheesecake right there, okay? That is fun. So go have fun. It's a free invitation for fun. And if you do events, I encourage you to contact Jesse Flippin and use photobooth.com. I want to talk about another analogy with this truck. So this, to me, I'd love to think represents VoiceFirst.tv, this brand new network that we're launching. And this represents you, your career, your company, your product, your service, and the things you want the world to know about. I would love to talk with you about how we can create content together. Because Voice First TV, it should have many different channels, right? We should have a health channel. We should have a hospitality channel, an automotive channel, a channel about just Alexa and just Assistant and just Cortana. And we're just getting started. So it's you in the room. The first people to move on something, they end up becoming the leaders. One reason why Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world is not just because he's become a brilliant interviewer, and because he's put this amazing infrastructure together, but he was early, right? He was early. And so the people that move early have the advantage. I and Bradley, the co-founders of Voice First TV, we are inviting you to be early. We are inviting you to engage with us. We don't have a presentation. We don't have a proposal for you. This is not about trying to extract money from you and your corporation. Although if you want to throw it at me, I'm happy to receive it. This is about you having an opportunity to have a new distribution channel you don't currently have. This is about allowing you and your corporation, whether you're as big as Google, Amazon, Microsoft, or Samsung, or you're a brand new startup like my company, Wumvi, it's about you having this distribution channel to provide social proof to the things that you have to say. Because see, you can do a video with me, and I can promote your company, your product, your service. You can do a video with Bradley. And if I don't tell you about this opportunity, you won't know about it. Then that means it just comes to me and Bradley just having to email our friends, text our friends, hey, you want to do a show together once a week? So I'm letting you know, the entire crowd, there is no barrier to entry. It's a matter of whether or not you have some great content that you want to create, and whether or not Bradley and I think, oh, that has a lot of value, and then we start talking about how do we actually create a sustainable system. What I do want to do right before I wrap up, we still have a few more minutes. I'm going to take questions one more time. If people will not ask me questions like you didn't ask Eric questions, then I'm throwing a Frisbee. This is the secret weapon, everybody. Go to pocketdisc.com. I am like such a promoter. Go to pocketdisc.com and order a Frisbee for $5 or $10. This thing is unbelievable at getting people to interact. In the university, I was over at USF doing a guest lecture last week, and I got almost every student to ask me a question by throwing the Frisbee at them. If anybody would like to ask me a question, stand up, and one of my people will bring you a microphone. You got 3 seconds, otherwise it's Frisbee throwing time. All right, here we go. Someone close, grab it. grab the microphone, stand up, please, introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
I'm Frank Rains from Washington, D.C.
Welcome.
And primarily an investor in voice companies. What I'm mainly interested in is what the trajectory, people see the trajectory of what I would call serious skills, ones that are really embedded in products that are really matter to the consumer as opposed to being more trivial. And at what point are they going to have the same resources poured into them that we see being poured into apps and desktop applications?
So is your question, do you have a specific question, or you just kind of, because you have a question maybe I can answer or somebody else in the audience can, from an investor perspective, which when you said investor, you see how quiet it got? It was like, oh, wait, there's an investor room. Shut up, listen. What was his name? Wait, what venture firm is he from? I need money. Okay, so go ahead. Do you have a question?
It's like bait. I guess the question is, investors are looking for when are the substantial voice companies going to arise, as arose in mobile with apps. That became a serious business with people building serious applications that were used in serious endeavors. Not all of the 80,000 skills out there would fit that definition. So when do you think that evolution will happen?
So if somebody stands up in 2 seconds, I'll let you answer the question. Okay, you just made it. Bring the microphone, and please keep the answer brief. I'd appreciate it.
Well, as a developer and designer of voice user interface skills, I would say that Amazon and Google are not allowing people to charge for their skills, so that has retarded the market an enormous amount for years. It's possible to monetize skills now, but unless you happen to be Domino's Pizza or Uber or Lyft or something like that, in-game purchases, it's still very small potatoes from the standpoint of venture investments generally.
Thank you. Would anybody like to stand up and ask another question and introduce yourself? This is your chance for free attention. We're live streaming. I would have jumped up on the freaking chair. I want attention. That's why I wear rings and ridiculous clothes. I'm going to be so embarrassed by the way I'm dressed in 20 years. So I'm going to throw the Frisbee then. Here comes the Frisbee. All right. You didn't even have to try, man. It just landed in your hand. Made me feel pretty good as a Frisbee thrower. All right, introduce yourself, where you're from, and why you're here.
Yeah, hi.
And bring the microphone real close, please.
Sure. I'm Martin. I am here from Mercedes-Benz, R&D. We have our own voice assistants. Hey, Mercedes. We're really proud of that. My question to you would be, speaking of voice in the car, what do you see from an OEM perspective that has never been done before, and that could be the next big thing?
That's a great question. I'll give somebody 3 seconds to answer it. I'm jumping in. Somebody stand up right now to answer that question. There you go, right behind you. Right behind you.
You must have missed our presentation. It was done.
So if that's the case, tell us your name, where you're from, what the presentation was about. I mean, keep it brief, but give us a little more context.
Yeah, so my name is Rajat Mukherjee. I'm the CTO of IQdo. We did this demo in the morning, which literally talks about utility in the car for a personalized experience without any setup. No need to go and register, set up stuff, just do your stuff. And if you missed it, we'd be happy to show you some of the stuff.
I also interviewed John Foster. He and I met at CES. There's been a few moments in the 22 years I've been in technology that I have been as impacted as I was by John's quick demo as we were having a drink together at CES. I have thought about him and going to his Campbell office many times. I just am busy. But now I'm definitely going to do it. The thing I want to tell you is that when Mercedes-Benz, you stand up and say, what do you think is the great opportunity for OEM? And they stand up behind you, I can give social proof for them and say, I've seen the demo, I understand what they're doing, and I think that would be a really worthwhile conversation for the two of you to have. Who would like to ask a question, or is it time to play catch again? Anyone to stand up and ask a question? This is your chance. This is where you're in control. Okay, we'll let the Frisbee be in control. Here comes Frisbee Destiny. Elbow catch, very nice. Please stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us where you're from and why you're here.
Hi, I'm Brendan. I'm actually here from New Zealand.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm from a company called Ada. We're a startup focusing on conversational products for small businesses. So for us, looking and working with small businesses and the productivity question that you raised earlier, all about turning the car into a productivity time. So we voice enable all the third-party apps that small businesses use, like your accounting and your payroll and your point of sale and so on. So you can sit in your car and have that conversation. What's happening in my business today? What's my top selling product? How's my revenue looking so far? Who's working today? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And you can actually have a business conversation with your data. So I guess I'm looking at how do we make that come alive in the car? It's early days for the whole industry. We've got that product. We know the customers want it. Mercedes have got their assistant, and there are other platforms out there. How do we form a partnership?
Could you ask the question in like one succinct sentence? That way, hopefully somebody from the audience could stand up and be like, I know what he's asking. I have the answer.
Sure.
Or if not, then I'll give my best attempt.
Sure. So I guess it's just we've got a lot of good content to turn small businesses and let them do business in the car. So how do we partner with the different manufacturers or platforms to enable that?
Okay. Anybody want to answer that question? Stand up now. Too late. The way that you do it is tell stories. So that is the key to all branding. So I'd like to actually have you, Jake, bring the microphone to Bryant and let Bryant actually answer that question for me, because Bryant is as good of a storyteller and brander as anybody I've ever met. Bryant, take it away.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, I think anytime we're working in a technical field like voice or anything in Silicon Valley, we usually lead with data because it's what we're comfortable with and it's delicious and we love it. But data isn't the thing that makes human beings form emotional connections or motivates us to change our perspectives or buy into something or form an opinion about something or change opinions about things. So something I like about Ian is when he's talking about voice, he starts by talking about the future of humanity and how it's going to help people with disabilities or help connect people in developing countries. So I think for you or all of us, honestly, and I'm obsessed with stories, so I think stories are the answer to everything. But for all of us, I think you have to start with asking yourself, what are the desires of my audience that aren't currently being fulfilled? And how can I connect my product with a story of, I'm going to make your life better because whatever it is, insert the blanks.
Thank you. So I have a question for the audience, and we'll see if anybody wants to stand up and answer my question. If Voice First TV could provide one thing of value to you this year, what are you most looking for during this year, currently, that would be video-based? Does anybody want to let me and Bradley know? Because this is your chance, and it's also market research, so thanks. Anybody at all? Anybody going to tell me what they'd like to see on Voice First TV? Well, then I'm going to ask, okay, well, just made it. Just made it. Bring the microphone to the man with a mighty beard, and let me and Bradley know what we can do to serve you best.
So Mike Gunderson. What I'd like to see from that is really just as many demos as possible.
Okay.
So I do find that there's not a lot out there and just how the tech works that's succinct and easy to understand. So where we can see how the APIs work, how Amazon is built, how Google is built, and then how that stuff works together, I think would be really useful.
That's cool. I will say, and you can bring the microphone to Shahan, I will say this, on the live stream today, Katie McMahon from SoundHound Inc. and Houndify, the app, she did a very courageous demo with me out of nowhere. That was very delightful for me. It was very similar to how I felt when I saw John Foster kind of go through his demo, but she took the risk of actually doing that, and it was also very impressive technology, live streamed. And so, first of all, I'd love for you and others to take a look at what she did and message me. I'm at Ian Utile, IANUTILE, everywhere. Let me know, like, how could we empower people like Katie to give demos so that you can learn about how things are working? Shahan, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I heard was, what do you want to see on?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I think a lot of the focus is on the younger generation. For me, my passion is like, how do I get my mom to use technology? So actually, she was on the Jimmy Fallon show with my brother. That's like gaming with your mom. There was like this segment that they did. So anyways, I think it's really interesting to see people who have not used technology in any way. I feel like voice is the platform where this is how we naturally talk. This is how we naturally communicate. So I'd really like to see the people who are not in technology, who have nothing to do with it, or another part of another generation, utilize these technologies to make everything easier. I mean, that would be really powerful.
One last, here we go.
Hi, my name is Mikhail. I work in broadcast radio. I'd really be interested in seeing examples of how one-directional content is becoming more conversational and two-way. Just traditionally in broadcast, whether radio or television, it's always about blasting one way, saying, I'm talking at you. I'd like to see more examples of how voice is being utilized to turn that into more of a two-way conversation.